My name is Martha and I have a father. I'm a sexologist and my company is called Eros Coaching. I work with individuals and couples who come to me for all kinds of sexual questions, issues, concerns and problems. So I work with them to overcome their concerns so that they can go on to have happy, fulfilling, sexy, sexual relationships and marriages. I have a father. My father is going to be 69 this year, and he reminded me very early this year that it is going to be his 50th work anniversary this year. To him it's a big deal because he has been working his whole life. My father is balding. He was very handsome when I was growing up, and I was reminded several times by my mom that many girls were after him because he is literally tall, dark, and handsome. So with that in mind, I was always very proud of my dad, knowing that I have such a handsome dad. Well, now he's 69, he's not that handsome anymore. However, he's still very fit and good for his age. He still has his hair. I know many men who doesn't have their hair anymore. So I like that about my dad. I met my mom at the police force, and as a result, they were working in the police force for many years before they both took early retirement at the age of 45. So after that, he had a second and third career working in different kinds of security related jobs. Right now he's a security officer in a girls' school, and he's very happy with that job because the students give him a lot of respect, and also he gets to do a lot of planting, which is what he really likes. This is his big passion, which is gardening. My big regret in life is actually not earning more so that I can buy a huge house with a big garden so that my dad can do all the planting that he wants, and it's for him, not for somebody else. And he can do anything he wants in that big space. So that is my one big dream, to be able to fulfill this before he passes on. I think I would really regret it if I'm not able to do that for him. So when I told him that, hey dad, I want to buy a big house and you come live with me and I'm going to have a big garden, he immediately said, yeah, let's do that. So he really loves gardening more than being a security officer. And so that's a little bit about my dad. I was never really close with my dad growing up because my dad would always be very strict and studious. He would spend more time reading the newspapers and reading books, listening to BBC, than actually being directly involved with our studies and homework. Pretty much left me and my sister alone, and then my brother came along 10 years later. I do remember though some incidents with my dad. I remember growing up, my dad would actually sleep with me and my sister. So he would have this cane fan that he would use to fan both of us to sleep. And later on there was of course the electric fan. So when he would fan me and my sister to sleep, I would give myself the challenge of staying up and see what happens when he's so tired that he would stop fanning us, and then I would poke him and remind him that he's supposed to continue fanning me until I sleep. So I would stay up just to torture him, and that was very entertaining and funny for me. And he was also the one that I would go to for money, and he would give me a hard time, reminding me that I'm spending money too quickly. Money is hard to earn. So some of my money issues did come from my dad. Both my parents, they didn't go to university. They stopped at secondary school level or high school. And actually for their generation, it is quite a big achievement because a lot of people didn't even finish primary school. So when they were able to finish high school and they had to stop their studies, that was their biggest wish for their children, to be able to have a better life than they did, because they are both really smart. And I think even though they never really said it, it kind of rubbed off on me. And my parents would say things like, you know, your studies is the most important thing. And my mom would stop me from helping to do any household chores. She would chase me out of the kitchen. She would not even let me sweep the floor. And she would make sure that I put my time and attention in my studies. So I think as a result, I really put a lot of my attention in my studies, even though I was never really a good student. However, I really love studying. Another story that I can think of is when I was in primary school, they used to have book fairs. So what they would do is they would print on an A4 paper all the book titles that they will be bringing to the book fair. So this is like a traveling fair. If you miss those few days of the fair, you basically have to wait for the next time that the book fair comes around, and they will have different titles. So every time the book fair would come, they would give out this paper showing all the different books. I remember that because the teacher tells us, okay, bring this paper and show it to your parents. So that's what I would do. And my dad would spend a long time looking at the list of books and trying to decide what are the books that he's going to buy for me. And there was one time where he said he would come for my book fair on a certain day, and I waited for him the entire duration of my recess time. So I didn't want to eat because I didn't want to miss my dad coming. And so I was waiting and waiting, and then the recess came and went, and he didn't come. So I was very, very disappointed that my dad said he would be there and he wasn't. So I went back to the classroom, very, very disappointed. And what happened was, suddenly this tall, dark, handsome guy comes to the classroom, and he's carrying this plastic bag with all the books that he had bought me. And of course, you know, that's quite a commotion, right? Because nobody's dad comes and pass their kids books. And so I was the only one in the class where my dad came and bought books. Many of them didn't even have parents who had the money to buy them books. My dad came, bought the books, and even though he missed my recess time, he actually came to the class just to make sure that I knew that he bought the books. So I went through the things that he bought me, and I remember distinctly that one of the things he chose to buy me is this book with different like tricks about magic. And that's totally not related to studies and not related to anything serious. But I think that was his intention, to make sure that I have a happy childhood and that I remain open and curious about life. So to this day, I still remember what he did. And actually, this is one of the things that contributed to me really loving books and learning. I always thought that my dad was very firm and strict, and so I didn't have anything to really talk about, because whenever I talked to him, he would talk about politics, and he would be very judgmental and very fierce and stern. So there's no way to have any discussion with someone like that, because he's just trying to shove his opinions down your throat, right? So as a result, I didn't really like talking to him, even though I have a lot of respect for him and I know that he loves us a lot. However, there was this slight resentment of maybe comparing, like, how come, you know, he never tells me that he loves me. Recently, I moved back to live with my parents again, and I had a fight with my brother the first night that I moved back, and also on the second night. So my father came in and he stepped in and he said, because I was crying, I was very upset with my brother, so he came in and he told me, you know, don't be so upset, it's okay, it's all gonna work out. And then he said, remember, okay, I love you, and don't make your dad worry. So for me to hear that from him, I know he has really changed a lot, and he has really mellowed. So what I'm trying to say is, don't think that an old dog cannot learn new tricks.
because along the way, I have actually changed my dad, and my dad has also changed me, because of his love and because of my love for him. I start to be able to see his love for me too.
That's one thing that I'm very grateful for from both my parents, is that no matter what circumstances, they always are kind, especially my mom. However, this video is about my dad. So they are both compassionate and kind towards people, and they always help people around them. I think this is why, for me, being compassionate is something that has always been very easy for me. And this has contributed to me wanting to have this career helping people. And I see this as my life purpose, to make a difference in the world. And so being a sexologist, helping people in their relationships, their marriages and their sexuality is a big part of doing that. My parents are compassionate. My dad has a strong sense of justice, and he is honest. He has integrity. He is inquisitive about life. He's curious. He reads a lot. And so that is all the attributes that I have. Both my parents have that. My mom being more Chinese oriented, and my dad being more English oriented. And so I learned a lot of this from them, and I'm always going to be grateful for that, because they showed through their lives all these things which they may not even realize is a big part of who I am and what I value. The not so good things that I learned from my dad is, for a long time I was very judgmental, because he would put labels like stupid and idiot on people a lot, and so I was also very judgmental of other people, and I was also very judgmental of myself. I had to forgive my dad. I had to make peace with the words stupid and idiot. And once I started to accept that, no matter how smart I am, I will always have an element of stupid and idiot, and make peace with these shadow words, they no longer have so much of a charge. And so I had to make peace with, am I really studying so much and being so inquisitive about life and with learning because I don't want to be stupid, or am I genuinely curious, open, and want to learn? So I believe it is the later, it's the second one. And so these are the good and not so good things that I have learned from my dad. And maybe you also may want to ask yourself, what are the things that you have gotten from your dad? It's very important that whatever we have gotten or become because of our background, to let go of a lot of it, because ultimately we may have absorbed a lot of these negative programming and messages. However, it is our responsibility to recognize it and to work through it and move on, to seek the healing that we need, so that we can be better people. And so I'm very honest in sharing, like, these are the things that I have worked through in my life. And this is why I also now am able to be very open in saying how much I love my dad and appreciate everything that he's done, because no matter what, he's human, and sure, there are things that he's not good in, and I may never hear the apology that I would like to hear from him about how he screwed up my life. But why does it matter? Because really, if I focus on that, I'm never going to be happy. So instead, I will accept him for how he has changed, and I love and accept him for where he's at. For the fathers out there, don't give up on your children, especially your daughters. You are their role model. If you don't have a good relationship with your wife, it will affect your daughters, because they will start to have certain fears around their husband-to-be, and they will have certain ideas of what marriage can or should be like, and they may even have these things that may sabotage them in their future relationships. So love your wife, love your daughters, for the fathers, and for the children out there, to really let go of the negative things you picked up from your parents, and to forgive them, to find your way to work through it, to own your stuff, and just recognize that no matter what, it took me a long time to realize this, no matter what, they are just trying. they're just trying to figure out and just trying to be the best parents that they can be. And so we also need to show them some compassion. It took me a long time to realize that my parents are, I know they're not perfect. However, my parents actually did a really good job. And so I'm very grateful to them. I love them so much. And this is why I am making all these videos on Father's Day and Mother's Day. Please watch all the other videos that I have done, interviewing my friends, talking about themselves and their relationship with their parents. So this has been Martha. Happy Father's Day.